If you're a healthcare professional, you know what your discipline is, but how can you improve your ability to communicate that on camera? And that was the driver behind me working with an acting coach.
Welcome back to Med Creator 101. I'm Mimi Banks, founder of NB Social, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Dustin Portela, board-certified dermatologist, dermfluencer, and podcaster extraordinaire.
Always good to be here.
Always good to see you. My favorite time of day. And speaking of my favorite time of day, it's called Let's Get to Know Dustin Better. And we put him in the hot seat with a few rapid-fire questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Multitasker or one thing at a time?
I am definitely a multitasker, but I know that nobody can truly multitask. So I have lots of unfinished projects, lots of things that I start and then I go back, and I need to be better about that. I should just be a one at a time type of person, but I'm not.
Same. This one I actually really like a lot. Lose your phone or lose your wallet.
Oh, neither is good, but I'd rather lose my wallet because if I have my phone, I can cancel the credit cards or I can put them on hold. I can use Apple Pay when I need something. And it's rare that I need my driver's license. So if I had to go without one for a little bit, it'd be easier to get by in life without my wallet.
It's true. I actually left my wallet on the plane when we were in New York together. I don't know if you remember. And Hope was kind enough to help me out, buy me breakfast, but I was really able to do everything with my phone. And then honestly, someone found my wallet on the airplane and I was able to go to Lost and Found and everything was there, including all of my cash.
There's still good people in the world.
Still good people in Newark. I was very impressed. So if you lose something, fill out that form.
Yeah.
Online shopping or in-store shopping?
Oh, definitely online shopping. I don't like taking the time unless I'm going to like Scheels or Cabela's or something. I could walk through those for a long time, but I'd rather just do online shopping and get the stuff delivered to me.
Though I do love a good outlet mall. I'll have to take you to Palm Springs next time you're here.
Yeah.
Wine or cocktails?
For like casual conversation, probably wine.
Red or white?
Red.
Okay, so today we're going to talk more about your content creation process and really how you perfected the art of being in front of the camera, enhancing your camera presence. And one of the tools that you used to help develop is seeing an acting coach. And I think one of the things that makes you such a strong medfluencer and such a strong content creator, it's not just your expertise, but it's your communication and how you appear in front of camera.
Yeah, there's so many different things, and we've talked about a lot of topics on the podcast, but it really is an art form when you get in front of the camera as to how you're going to capture attention and how you're going to keep that attention, because ultimately your goal is to effectively communicate a science-based topic in some way, skincare, health, whatever that may be. And so refining all of the other parts of that, because presumably your medical knowledge should be there. If you're a healthcare professional, you know what your discipline is, but how can you improve your ability to communicate that on camera? And that was the driver behind me working with an acting coach.
But how did you even decide to get one? I mean, this is pre-SNL, pre-SAG, pre-big moments. How did that even come to mind?
Well, I have done some speaking in public throughout my life, really, and I've never been terribly scared of speaking in front of an audience. I've done it since I was a kid, and I've always been pretty comfortable in front of the camera. So it was more about, can I get better at this? Can I refine my skills? Knowing that I had goals at the time of doing more professional shoots like the soap opera or like SNL, and also wanting to be a more engaging speaker on stage. Because just because you're not scared to get on stage and speak to people, or you're not scared to stand in front of the camera, doesn't mean that you're good at captivating attention. So I was, through a friend, I was connected with an acting coach. This person, his name is Joe Sabatino, and he does primarily executive speaker coaching. So as an actor, he started doing this as a kind of a side gig, which was really helpful for him during the strikes and things that have happened at various times in Hollywood, where he will work with CEOs of different companies to teach them public speaking skills. Because a lot of these guys were tech founders and they know the computer, they know the software, they know whatever that is. But all of a sudden they're the head of a company and they have to be able to communicate to their board, or they have to communicate to shareholders. And so he started teaching people how to do public speaking based on the principles of being an actor. when to look at people, when to look away, how to be bigger, how to be more animated. So I was connected with him. I started working with him both for the public speaking aspect, but all of those skills translate to on camera work as well. So it was a really productive time for me to learn more of these skills and refine them. And they're things that I continue to work on to this day.
What are some of the techniques that he taught you?
Yeah, there's a number of things to try to put it into a few bullet points. The first was to be bigger on camera than you think that you should. So you think that you're being somewhat animated, but we have the full frame to work with. And most of us sit in front of the camera, especially if it's vertical on social media, you're doing vertical video. You're trying to like stick in this little frame, but trying to use more of the frame, get your hands up, get moving more, bigger facial expressions. And whatever you think is over the top, it generally doesn't come across as over the top when it's on video. So you can be bigger, you can be louder than you generally think you need to. Now, loud is kind of relative. It doesn't mean you're yelling at the camera necessarily, but that was one of the principles that he taught me, is to take up more of the frame, to be bigger and more animated on camera. Another aspect that we covered was, does your nonverbal communication say the same thing that your verbal communication is saying? So we did some fun exercises where he would have me record myself telling him a story, and then we would watch it back together without the sound. And we would critique my body language, my facial expressions. And he would say, do you look excited about this topic? This is where you said the name of a skincare product you like. You're not even smiling. So trying to identify those things. Then we would listen to the audio without looking at the video to see if the verbal communication communicates effectively, and then watch it together with the audio and the video and see how everything comes together. And one of the most fun exercises that I did with him is he wanted me to tell him a sad story from my childhood. But I had to laugh the whole time while I was doing it. I had to smile and laugh. And then we played that back without any sound. And you could really see, I mean, it looked like I was telling a hilarious story, but it's about flexing these muscles, about being able to generate emotion, even if you're talking about a different topic, you know. So I was telling a sad story and being very animated about it. And then when we listened to the whole thing with audio and video, I had him rolling on the floor because I'm telling this relatively tragic story that was terrifying for me as a kid, but from my perspective, I was just a spoiled brat. And I had him rolling on the floor for that. So those are some little things that we worked on together. And then another thing that we talked about was just the way that we make eye contact with the camera. So prior to working with him, a lot of the times I was very comfortable looking at the camera like I'm doing right now, looking at the camera as you're speaking so that when people are watching, they feel like you're speaking right to them. But in my YouTube videos, for a period of 9 to 12 minutes, I was just looking at the camera almost continuously. And it's not very engaging. You need to break eye contact once in a while. If you're having a conversation with somebody at a party and they just stare right at you the whole time, you start to get pretty uncomfortable with that. And so essentially treating the camera like a person, and imagine a person sitting in front of you where you're going to talk to the camera, you're going to be off camera a little bit, and you're going to come back, and knowing kind of how to work the camera just as you would work a conversation.
That's incredible. And now, when you're creating content, do you inherently use these techniques? Do you find yourself thinking about your frame?
Yeah, I do. I'll go back and re-record if I felt like I was a little flat on something. A lot of these things have become easier for me to do without consciously thinking about them, more of this unconscious competence around being in front of the camera. And sometimes will still go back and listen to my videos or watch them without sound and make sure that I'm implementing these things. I recorded the sessions that I had with him, and I'll go back and watch them sometimes and pick out things that was like, oh yeah, we did talk about that. I haven't been implementing this. How can I kind of include this in my content, and just make sure that I'm being as engaging as possible?
That's great. I mean, self-critique is hard, leaves yourself feeling very vulnerable.
Yeah. And, you want other people to be able to watch your content before you post it, trusted people, but they have to be able to be a friendly, critical eye. I'll show a lot of my content to my wife if I've been working on a video. The feedback's always very positive, right? Like it's always, oh, that's great. That looks good. I don't want her to be super critical of me, obviously, but I need somebody maybe without so much personal touch to be able to give me honest feedback about the content.
I think that's important. I think it's important to have those people who can give you the feedback or tell them what to watch for or ask them the specific questions. Did I come across clear? Did I make this make sense? I felt like I was being really big, or I felt like I was being really small. Can you sense or give me feedback here?
Yeah, and that's helpful if you have trusted people that can help you on that. And you can pick out some of the things we've talked about here today and say, these are the things I'm working on in my content. Can you help to see how I'm implementing those or areas of improvement that you think I could work on?
Yeah, I would love to give our listeners this challenge. I think it's great. I think specifically in social media, you have this small box to fill up. And how can you fill up this box with your space, with your hands, with your body, with your movements? And what are you doing to do that?
We talked about visual hooks with Dr. Lindsay Zabritsky, and filling up more of the screen is kind of that visual hook. Some people start a video off talking and brushing their hair or applying their makeup, but different things. You're using more of the space that you have to work with. And it does help to visually engage people and bring them in and make them more likely to stay on your video.
That's very true. It's a really big thing now. They applying their makeup, but that's also part of the get ready with me. Those are actual movements that people are doing, and it became a trend. So you're doing something else and you're engaging them and bringing them along. So you mentioned that you didn't have much stage fright growing up, or you're very comfortable in front of the camera or speaking in front of large audiences. What happens if you're not comfortable? Stage fright is a real thing.
It really is. I always go back to this idea that the person that comes to me that wants a mole removed and they're focused on this mole, they don't like the way that it looks. It might be on their nose or on their cheek. But 9 times out of 10, I would have never known that that was a problem for them if they hadn't pointed it out and specifically told me, I hate this mole. And most of the time, nobody is aware of our fears or our apprehensions. And it goes the same when you step on stage or when you are stepping in front of the camera. Whatever you are fearful of or you're critical of yourself of doesn't translate to the audience unless you point it out to them. And so it's easier said than done, but it takes repetitions. You have to get up, you have to try it, you have to do it. You have to try new things. Try to get a laugh out of people if you're speaking on stage, kind of break the ice, so to speak. Get that hook out there. Obviously, working in front of the camera can be very forgiving because you can edit, you can do retakes, you can try to do it, as much as you want to before you edit and hit post. So I think it's just knowing intrinsically that nobody else knows what your fears are. And if you don't tell them, they're never going to know. And you'll just come across as confident and your content will do just fine.
I think that's a great point. No one actually knows until you tell them, and then it becomes obvious, and that's all they look for. And what about vulnerability?
I do think it's important to some degree. I mean, people like authenticity. And I think when you do show some vulnerability, and that doesn't mean you're telling them, this is what I'm scared about being on camera, but when you get up and you say, I'm a dermatologist and I got sunburned this weekend, or like, hey, I've had a really hard week. I've definitely seen influencers who post on TikTok like, hey, this has been really hard for me and I'm going to take a little break from social media. Or all of a sudden they're just back and they say, hey, I haven't been around for a couple of months. Those kinds of things show vulnerability. It shows that it's a real person on the other side. Not everything is 100% polished. And I think social media has had that trend where things are very polished and very refined. And more people are craving that authenticity and that vulnerability. And that doesn't mean laying out all of your flaws to people. You can certainly be selective about it, but little things that show that you're a real person, that shows who you are, other than just standing in front of the camera with a white coat on, I think engages with your audience and is one of the key factors in building a community.
I think that was very well said. I sometimes liken it to what would you tell your boss versus your friend versus a family member. So you can still tell them the same story and be vulnerable, but you might just not share the same kind of detail.
Yeah, different levels of details, and you'll leave some things out when you're talking to your boss that you might tell to a trusted friend or family member. And that's totally appropriate on social media. You want to remain professional, but you can show that you're a real human.
Well, thank you for joining us today, where we talked about what Dr. Portela learned from his acting coach.
If you guys have any questions about this topic or anything else that we've discussed on the Med Creator podcast, drop us a message on Instagram and we'll be happy to share any resources that we have available. We'll see you on the next episode.